YouTube, Kamen Rider here. Welcome to my review for Tojima Wants to Become a Kamen Rider, Episode 4. We picked this episode up where we left off, where Yuriko has found out that the girlfriend is Shocker, because she revealed it to her, and we have the conversation between them, and I believe the Shocker girlfriend briefly threatens the kid that was spying on them, and I was kind of hoping she was going to take him out because I hate that storyline, because honestly, as I've said the previous weeks, really the only negative thing I have to say about the series is I'm not a fan of the fan service. It's just weird and pervy, just miss me with that. I just don't like it at all. There's only a couple moments in this, and it can be admittedly funny, like some of the moments when Tackle changes in front of somebody because you're not expecting it, especially given the meta nature of, like, you know, in Toku, usually they instant transform, or even in regular superhero stuff, you know, Superman or Spider-Man will have the suit under their shirt, but her basically just getting changed like normal, and then people being taken aback and being a bit embarrassed and flushed because there's a naked girl in front of them is funny, but all the gratuitous shots is just like, I don't understand. It's a cartoon. I don't understand. It's weird. I don't like it. That's the only thing I don't like. But anyway, Tackle does manage to get the upper hand, and then they call her boyfriend in, and that's when they delve into further backstory. He's like, oh, I forgot to give you the rest of the backstory. And I love that Tojima was yet again excited, but Yuriko wanted to keep it to just the bullet points. But he reveals that after their first encounter with Shocker, him and his brother encountered another Shocker when a robber tried to, well, rob them, and he was also Shocker, and then their grandparents were murdered by a monster that was with them, revealing that not just the Shocker soldiers exist, but the monsters, which is pretty much a given the opening and some of the things we've seen. And then we intro his brother because of that, whose name is Ichiyo, which is maybe meant to be a reference to Ichigo, just with a different letter. I don't know. I didn't mean for that to rhyme. It's funny because I didn't even think about, like, his brother being one of the other main characters, because I watched the opening once, but I didn't want to watch it again in case there was any spoilers, but I did go back and look to see the little team shot, now kind of spoiling for me that it looks like the Shocker girlfriend would join them. But I completely didn't even think about that, because I only vaguely remember, like, there's someone just in civilian clothes, because he just wears kind of like more of a civilian rider biker outfit, and he's inspired by V3, and only Tojima can see his inner spirit of V3, which I think is really funny. And because Yuriko's like, what are you even seeing? I just think that's kind of neat. But it's funny because he's very much a kind of mirror of Tojima, and a very much like perfect rider rival character or an anime rival character, in terms of he's got a similar motivation but different. Like, he's also very much inspired by Rider. He likes V3 because it's the best of both worlds, Hannah Montana style of Ichigo and Nigo. I also am quite fond of V3. I've always had a soft spot for it because years ago at an anime shop, you know, back when I used to look at anime shops for Toku stuff, every now and then would find something, and it was like hunting for treasure. I found this small V3 figure, which was one of my first proper Kamen Rider things for my collection that wasn't involved with Master Rider, so I've always had a soft spot for it. But anyway, he's like inspired by V3, and like him and Tojima are arguing about who's better trained, who's more like inspired by Rider. And it's funny because Ichiyo has a legitimate like tragic backstory that you would see in Toku, whereas Tojima's just a fan. But they're both well trained and well matched, and I like that dynamic because it was very much a cliche Rider rivals, anime rivals character, and it led to some amusing bits when they were fighting each other and whatnot. And again, I looked up the picture, and it looks to me like, what's his brother's name? I wrote it down. I wrote down the name so I wouldn't forget it. Mitsuba, the restaurant guy. It looked like he's probably going to become the Rider Man character next episode, so we'll have our full team, presumably in an episode or two. And at the very end, you have Mitsuba defending his girlfriend. He's like, she may be Shocker, but she's my girlfriend, and then Ichiyo's upset about it, and she's like touched that he defended her, but she reveals like her mission was to monitor anyone that was aware of Shocker, which last week it just seemed like she was just having fun with it, so I guess it was a mix of both, where she was monitoring him, but then she got a kick out of the fact that he was looking for Shocker and it was right under his nose the whole time. And then she calls in a bunch of Shocker soldiers, and that's where we leave off. So yeah, this episode was still enjoyable. It felt a little smaller, almost like a bottle episode in the sense that we kind of just went to this park and then did everything there, like the introduction of Ichiyo's character and kind of the flashbacks and stuff. But I continue to just really like this series. I'm still so curious to see how they explain Shocker, like whether they are from the TV world or whether it's something that always existed and somehow the show, like, wrote it inspired by that, but still just such an enjoyable little show. Like I said, it's an enjoyable if you're a Rider fan, but even in its own right, it's had a really steady pace and momentum. I think I'll for sure cover it like weekly, at least one more week, and see how it goes if I keep, reviewing it every week, but I'll for sure keep up with the series and then do a series review at the end. But let me know what you thought of this week's episode of Tojima Wants to Become a Kamen Rider. Till next time, Kamen Rider, signing out.